What's going on today, guys? Let's get a look at the new release from Jack Wolf Knives. This is the low drag in S90V. You heard that right, S90V. No price increase. These are still coming in for the carbon fiber versions, right around $300. For the one canvas micarta version, I believe it's like 275 or something like that. I will have the link below. They are releasing today. I believe these are going to go very fast, and the hype is real. This is a incredible pattern. This is the bullet end jack, or the teardrop jack, whatever you want to call it. This one happens to be in Miami camo carbon. Look at the symmetry here when it's closed. I've always loved these patterns, how they just roll down and terminate. That spear point blade terminates down into that bullet end. Beautiful. Of course, Jack Wolf Knives always puts his fingerprint on everything. Ben puts his fingerprint. And what we have here is these nice chamfered bolsters here on the end. Of course, you have your fluting. Not all of the Jack Wolf knives have the fluting here, but a lot of them do. You have your signature fit and finish here. One of the things that I love doing with all of my knives when I get them and I start studying them and thinking about how the review is going to go, I start really paying attention to some of the details. Like this swedge starts right here, gets a little thicker here, and then rolls down to the tip. And then I'll flip the knife over and I'll see if it does the same. And they absolutely do. It's hard to see in a video. It starts about right here and it starts right there. So the symmetry all the way down the swedge. Then I start looking at stuff like right here, the chamfer on the bolster, it ends right there where it's supposed to, ends right there where it's supposed to. And the same here. You look at the fluting. Yep, everything's equal. It's equal on both sides. It's equally milled. You look at the thickness, or thinness rather, on the covers. For you modern folks that are watching this in traditional language, these are covers. They're not scales. They are covers. If they're bone, carbon fiber, and micarta, the knife police ain't gonna come get you if you call them that, but the more you know. Ding. So I start looking at how much the screws are recessed in there, if they're all the same. Absolutely they are. And again, I just walk around the whole knife like that, and I really look at all the fit and finish details. When it's closed is the back spacer spring. These are not spacers. It is a spacer, but it's a spring. Is everything nice and flush? Absolutely. Is the spring terminated at a perfect 90 degrees right there? Absolutely. Blade centered. Yep. How about walk and talk? No movement at all. Walk and talk. Listen. That's what I look for in fit and finish. And then the walk and talk is just a feel. All these Jack Wolf knives do have a little bit of a ting, like when they close down. And I think it's this super thin hollow ground blade. If you've ever played with a straight razor, or sometimes knives when they're really thin, the blade like almost sings. And it's almost like the thinness of the steel like resonating as you. So I think when you do the walk and talk and it closes, it kind of, I don't know. I love it. So S90V on this one. Again, no price increase. These are available today. Links are going to be below. This is the Miami camo carbon variant, if I didn't say. So there's all of the major thoughts and specs. I'd like to give you guys a little story about how I got into traditional knives and maybe not change your mind, but I get that quite a bit. Like, why traditional knives? I don't understand. So just so you understand where my passion came from. Um, Back in the day, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago or so, the coolest thing was the Hinder XM18. They were only available to like firefighters and police, and you could get an order from them. But anyways, he kind of, and I don't know if it was necessarily that brand in particular, but the thicker the knife, the more heavy duty it was, usually like the higher price point and the cooler it was. But as I started to collect some of those knives, they didn't cut so well. And I'm not saying that as I open this bug out to show you that the bug out, this actually does cut well. But my personal journey was, I'm trying to show you some size comparisons as I tell you this little story here. My personal journey was, I was like, well, I already own like 5 of these super thick knives. I had a couple Hinders. I even had a custom ground Hinder at the time. They weren't going for huge money like they are now. They were semi-affordable. For like $600 you could have a hand ground one. But they just didn't cut. So I started to look around, and about that time, it was around 2006 or so, I believe, maybe a little earlier than that. Not that this knife came from 2006, but you started to see this company that was on the come up called GEC. And I was like, oh, well, I already have a bunch of these thick knives, and they're kind of larger knives. What about if I got a smaller knife that I could fit in my watch pocket? And being that it's a slip joint, we all know how well like Swiss Army knives cut, you know, with their full flat grinds and their thin blade stock. And I got a few GECs, and I start carrying them and using them, and loved how they cut. So that's just how my journey went. And then I start collecting some more and more. And then I started to find a middle point for knives, and you find stuff like the Spydercos that cut well. They really balance it well with cutting versus, you know, toughness. And I just fell hands over, what's the saying, whatever, I just fell into the hole of collecting knives, you know, because you got the smaller ones, the bigger ones, you got the ones that blend them both, and then bring that into 2023, and now we have modern materials, super thin hollow ground blades, titanium frames. You have a bunch of different cover options. And of course, now in 2023, we have these camo carbons, fat carbons, and all kinds of cool things. And I think that the knife world is a lot better place that we have this selection to choose from. So I really appreciate what they're doing over here at Jack Wolf Knives, and they really are shaking things up. They are planning on, as far as I know, and it could change, but they are not going to be putting pocket clips on their knives anytime soon. They are not going to be putting thumb studs on them. They're not going to be doing flippers with bearings. They are a traditional knife made in a modern way. And I think that really is going to hit a different type of audience while also hitting the traditional audience. So I love what they're doing. I love how thinly ground the blades are. I love that they are trying a new steel now in this S90V. They're doing old patterns, traditional patterns, that you could find this if you went way back in history. I don't know the history on the teardrop or the bullet end jack. I don't know who was the first one to do it, but this is a traditional pattern that's been around for hundreds of years. And I can see why it's a classic. The classics usually just work, right? And then also they're bringing some new stuff in, like this Cyborg jack. They're doing the old like trapper style handle with a Wharncliffe blade while still doing the traditional stuff, right? And then you look at like when did Tony Bowes invent the Lanny's clip. Was that around 85, 83, somewhere around there? I'm not quite sure the history of that one is either. But then you have Jack Wolf Knives take on the Benny's clip. So they're really appealing to a real wide audience. They're always a joy to make videos on. I promise you, I'm not shilling. I brought these knives to our Thanksgiving get together, and even people who are mildly interested in knives, like they gravitated towards these. We're like, that's really cool. And you're like, yeah, it's got titanium scale, or titanium, I said scales. The knife police are gonna get me. Titanium frames with the carbon fiber cover, or the micarta, and then modern blade steels, and then the thinly ground blade. They just cut like demons. They're easy to carry. They already come with the slip, and packaged really well. So I think they're just doing something real incredible. If you want to pick this up, the link will be below. I have more videos coming on traditional knives. I want to go over my full collection and show you some of the new stuff I've picked up. Let's go ahead and show you something real quick here, just because I think it's a cool idea to give you guys an option. Like, if you don't like the idea that you got to carry in a slip, you can have custom slips made with clips on them, so you can still carry this in your front right pocket, just like you would a regular clipped knife. And then you have your access to your slip joint right there. What's in here, you ask? This is a new to me 43, I believe. Yep, GC 43. Let's go ahead and get a size comparison. And this has a Tom Crine regrind on it, which is insane because slip joints are already thin, like I just said, and then you go ahead and custom grind them down even thinner. Absolute monster, cuts like a monster, and just a wonderful thing. I'm glad that these modern traditional knives exist. So thank you to Jack Wolf Knives for bringing these to market. I think you're really filling a gap that hasn't been filled yet, and I hopefully will hear from some of you guys who have purchased these, and put your comments below, because I personally haven't ran into anybody who's handled them in real life and held them and felt the thinness, because it's hard to describe exactly how thin these blades are unless you know, unless you hold it and cut with it. It's hard to describe the walk and talk, how they feel to fidget with. It's sometimes you just have to hold them to know what it's about, and then it'll click with you. And if you're like me, I started off by carrying them in tandem with a larger folder. I've since graduated where now I feel comfortable just leaving with this in my pocket. I can leave the house. I don't feel like I'm under knifed for anything that I'll have to come across throughout the day. But I do pair them up quite a bit with a modern folder clipped to my right pocket. I'll have this next to my phone in my left pocket, and that's just how I roll. So I think they complement each other really well. They also do well just on their own, and they are really fun to collect, and they're even more fun to cut with, which is what a knife should do at the end of the day. And these do it about the best as I've ever seen. You're getting into the territory where you're gonna have to be looking at something that has a custom regrind on it to get the thinness behind the edge that these are offering from factory without the extra money and the wait time. So there you go, guys. That's the Low Drag by Jack Wolf Knives, available today. A link below. I appreciate you hanging out. You guys know the deal. If you really want to help me out, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed. Some people say ring that bell notification, but I don't know if you want me clogging up your emails. But if you want to be notified when I drop a new video, click the bell. It's beside this little subscribe thing. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. Code word SHARP if you got to the end. It helps with the algorithm, and it gives me more encouragement to make more videos. I have more modern folder stuff coming. We're going to be nuking this knife and put a new clip on it and all that. So I've got a lot of stuff coming. I want to do a video on this setup and how game-changing a clip slip like this really is for your traditional knives, and many more videos. So again, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Have a great day. See ya.